North Korean leader.
President Trump tweeting this weekend, North Korea has not conducted a missile test since November 28th, 2017, and has promised not to do so through our meetings. I believe they will honor that commitment.
We have Asia expert Olivia Enos with us. She's a policy analyst from the conservative group, the Heritage Foundation. Olivia, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Olivia, some have pointed to the significance of the Olympics as having an effect on this, the North and South Koreans working together, if you will. Now, I read that piece that you posted, though, where you said North Korea should have been excluded from the Olympics. Does this meeting change your mind?
Well, I think a lot of people are touting this meeting as a historic moment, but the reality is that the U.S. has attempted to negotiate with North Korea on multiple occasions over the last 30 years, and every single time, North Korea has proven an unfaithful negotiating partner. I mean, Kim Jong-un is referred to as the supreme leader, but maybe he merits a new title, the supreme fraudster. The amount of times that North Korea has reneged on its promises and returned to developing and testing its missile and nuclear programs is countless. So the U.S. should proceed with immense caution.
Olivia, in fact, there are some people are coming out saying they're very concerned about the lack of preconditions on this meeting and that the failure of this could even set things back worse than they are right now. What's riding on this if it does not go well?
I think that in order for the U.S. to lead, we absolutely need strong preconditions. We need to be clear about what our objectives are for this meeting. It should first and foremost be with the goal of denuclearizing North Korea. But there should also be considerations for human rights issues. We need to move the needle and make it so that North Korea does improve its human rights track record, which, as you mentioned earlier, was one of the reasons why I felt like North Korea should have been excluded from the Olympics.
Are they getting rewarded, though, for bad behavior here? Because you have these missile tests, which the president correctly points out haven't happened since November. But what is the goodwill measure from the North other than showing up at the Winter Olympics and sending a cheerleader squad and joining in with the hockey team?
In the midst of a maximum pressure strategy that's being led by the United States, it seems a bit contradictory to engage in negotiations and, as you mentioned, potentially even a reward for bad behavior. But now that we're here, now that we're going to potentially be engaging within the next few months with North Korean leaders, we need to be clear that we want North Korea to denuclearize, but we cannot forget about the human rights issues as well.
Olivia, you speak about proceeding with caution. There was a tremendous amount of talk that the president made this decision seemingly on the spot without consulting Rex Tillerson. I don't think that's necessarily surprising based on President Trump's style, but how significant is that as we approach these talks coming up now, tentatively scheduled for May?
You know, I think there's really strong concern that at this moment we don't have very many Korea experts or Korea specialists actually in the State Department or in the White House. So when we proceed forward with talks, it's going to be absolutely critical that all of the leaders who are working on U.S. foreign policy, who are working on North Korea, be on the same page. We must send a unified message, and that includes coordinating closely with our ally, South Korea.
Olivia, let's talk a little bit about that right now, because our bench is weak when it comes to North Korea. What's our situation over there diplomatically, and what concerns do you have about the president himself, Donald Trump, being in the driver's seat for these talks when he will be the first to tell you that he does not have, outside of last year, a long foreign policy negotiating resume?
Well, I think it's going to be absolutely critical that the position of Special Envoy for North Korea policy be filled. The gentleman who was previously in it, Jo Yoon, just retired a few weeks ago, and we need somebody to serve in a chief negotiating position. I think that that's going to be the only way that we can communicate a really clear message to North Korea.
Olivia, I have to ask you, you really stress the idea that these negotiations have never, the idea of a negotiation has never worked in the past. What other options do we have? I mean, the fact that this is on the table, it would seem surprising for the president to simply and completely walk away from it. Is that your suggestion?
I think that the president certainly cannot walk away from these negotiations at this point. It seems like this is the path that we're on, and so we should commit to it. But in the midst of committing to this potential dialogue, I think it's absolutely critical that we maintain our maximum pressure on North Korea. We can't pull back on sanctions. We have to keep those in place because it may have been the sanctions that brought North Korea to the negotiating table in the first place.
Olivia Enos, thank you for being with us from the Heritage Foundation. We appreciate your time.